Welcome to Show Me the Nuggets. Podcast producer Eduardo Trinidad here. Thanks for tuning in. Today's episode is part 2 of the 7 essential campaigns that every business should be running, featuring none other than your host, Joe Troyer. This episode, along with part 1 from last week, will give you the exact retargeting blueprint that's been so successful for Joe and his team at Invisible PPC. So make sure that you go back and check last week's installment. Here we go.
So I'm going to walk you guys through the steps really quick. And again, I'm going to breeze through this because it's very technical. It's like nerd level 10. For those of you guys that don't want to handle fulfillment, it's okay. You can just hand this off to somebody in your office, or you can give it to us, all right? So first and foremost is you got to set up the tracking on your website, but it's got to be done properly. We find that 9 times out of 10 that we get a customer at Invisible PPC, their website tracking isn't set up properly. So it's like, how can we do all these other things? Even if they're great campaigns, they're proven to work like across the board every single time, we can't prove it. So then 30 days, 60 days, 90 days down the line, the client's complaining because they can't understand what we're doing for them and the results that we're getting. So like you gotta start with that foundation of getting that tracking set up properly, or everything else that you're doing fundamentally just doesn't really matter. Next up, we gotta create your ads. Next, we build out in step 3 the Google retargeting. Step 4, we build out Facebook and Instagram. So you control Instagram retargeting right through Facebook. And then step 5 is we add the Google branded search. Step 6, build out LinkedIn retargeting. So then the tracking setup for us, this is how we run highest level of tracking setup. We've seen lots of different ways that people set up their tracking, and fundamentally we think like this is the best way to set up your tracking. So fundamentally it's by doing it through Tag Manager, first and foremost. We want to make sure that we set up Google Analytics and that we're setting up goals for both phone calls and for web forms. A lot of people we see when we onboard campaigns, like if they're lucky, they're tracking web forms, but almost none of them are tracking phone calls. We want to set up Google lead form tracking. We want to set up Google call tracking. We want to set up Facebook and Instagram lead tracking. And then finally, set up Facebook and Instagram call tracking as well. And then the fun part starts across all of the platforms, right? We need to start Google and Facebook and LinkedIn and everywhere else. We need to start setting up our audiences. Okay, so these are the windows that we're going to target people by. And so day 29 through 60 is one window. So we're going to show different ad sets and different campaigns and different messaging during those different windows. And it's important that we set these up because we need to change up our messaging, or banner blindness occurs and people stop paying attention to our ads. So we got to make sure that we set up all of these audience right away. So setting up Google Tag Manager, this is really important. So one of the things that we found is that with dealing with clients and websites and developers and giving them tracking code, we need to give them like one piece of tracking code and just say, make sure this is always on the site and everything will fire fine. Otherwise, it's like, hey, yeah, your developer overwrote Google Analytics and it's no longer on the site anymore. Or, oh, yeah, Google AdWords conversion tracking is no longer working. It went out a week ago. We had a client, one of the whales that I was talking about at the beginning, spending over 40 grand a month with us just for us to manage their PPC campaigns. So you can think about what they were actually spending on PPC, and that quite literally happened. In the middle of the campaign, spending that amount of money. So for the last week, we haven't had any conversions. That's a really fun conversation to have with your prospect. So you got to make sure that you do it through Tag Manager. And the thing that, for those of you guys that aren't familiar with Tag Manager, it's like a container that you get that all your tracking code goes in, and then you can keep editing and doing whatever you want with it, but the client only has to install one little snippet of tracking code. So developer does it one time and you're off to the races. So then you got to create your ads. We know that people are in different stages of the buying journey today, like that Google study, right? Like 80-some touch points for the lady to buy a car. So we know that we have to have different types of messages depending on where the person is in the buyer's journey. So strategically, we create offer ads. We then create branding ads. We then create review ads because we know that a lot of times in the sales process, people are getting ready to make a decision, and all that they have to do is figure out yet the last step. Who's that reputable company that's going to do what I want? So we want to be able to speak to the different types of people. Then long-term with remarketing and retargeting as well is we're using it as a reactivation campaign as well, and a way to get people back into our customer's office or back in the dental seat, or get our customer to go out and do some type of seasonal campaign or seasonal service. So there's 3 big secrets or keys to effective retargeting. So first is being omni-relevant. So that just means like showing up all the time. So just by doing retargeting, you're hitting the first key, but that's where everybody like stops and doesn't take it any further. Step number 2 is omni channel. So like I said, like 10% of people that we surveyed, over 30,000 businesses, were using any type of retargeting. If we look at the ones that are using Facebook and Google, we're down to like 1% of people or local businesses are even doing that. And then if we look at, are they using Twitter, are they using Instagram, are they using the other platforms, and nobody is. Like, this is freaking wide open. And why wouldn't you want to follow your prospects everywhere? Like, if they're spending their time on Twitter instead of Facebook, and you're crushing Facebook remarketing, it's bringing you leads at $1 or $2 compared to where you're getting them in pay-per-click, traditional pay-per-click for 20. Why wouldn't you want to be where your audience is? Why wouldn't you want to be everywhere? Well, we do. So that's why we go omni-channel. And then number 3 is omni-rotation. So we want to change our ads out frequently. And so this gives you guys kind of an idea of a visual of how we roll out those ads, so that you guys can understand. So we're throwing the different ads out at different times, and then strategically, we're changing them up so that we never have banner blindness. Okay, by getting rid of banner blindness, our click-through rate stays really, really high, which means our cost per click goes down dramatically. Okay, so if a customer is spending $100 or $200 on remarketing or retargeting, by us implementing these types of strategies with changing up the ads often, we're often able to see like their retargeting budget will drop to $10 or $20 a month. And it's not just about the savings and the cost, it's about the client always seeing the ads and it feeling like a brand new first impression to them, so that we're getting their attention and they're not just tuning us out. And then the last thing kind of with retargeting and remarketing that I think is really neat is you can really control your brand narrative and your perception, right, through remarketing and retargeting. If you want somebody to think that you're a caring brand, right, think about that when you're creating the ads, right? Have an ad that talks about that. And so using the narrative and controlling the brand narrative approach, we've done some really, really cool things. We can make anybody think whatever we want about a brand through retargeting, and it costs like a penny a view, 2 cents a view. I mean, this is like crazy next level type of stuff. Again, we talked about banner blindness. So to avoid that, again, we're going to drop the frequency that people see our ads, and then we're going to change up the ads really, really often. And this is how we avoid banner blindness. The big problem with that is like, we got to create one ad set, and I showed you guys we create 4, but then we create variations of these so that we can keep changing it up. So banner creation starts to become a problem really quickly. The reason that we implement branded search campaigns is because retargeting ads are proven to lead to a 1,046% increase in branded search. Right? So people see the ads, and they're not just going to immediately click on the ad. They'll think about you, and then an hour later, right, they're going to search for your company name. And so we want to be able to track those conversions. So if we're bidding on branding search and we're taking them then to a landing page that we know is getting a really high conversion rate, we're able to make sure that we really track the results and we get the customer a great return, and we show them what we're doing. And a lot of people fight us on this, a lot of marketers especially. Why would you bid on a company name? Right, and the key is like the clicks don't cost that much, and we're able to take them to a landing page that's exactly what they're looking for. That's going to convert 3 or 4 times higher than if they just land on the website homepage. So why wouldn't we want to do that? So all this stuff, by the way, is all set up. This is all onboarding. All this stuff gets done in the first 7 days that we bring on a campaign. All of those previous 40 or whatever slides happen. So then each month moving forward, we're swapping out the offer ads with new ones. What's the offer of the month, right? And what are we doing now? So the cool thing about Google is you can drop a pixel and you guys can show ads for almost a year. I think it's 360 days in the future. So not only is it a way to convert current customers or current prospects, into customers, but then long term, we can use it for reactivation and retention and staying in front of them. And again, I just did a case study in the cost per view across all the platforms was 2.5 cents per view. I mean, you can't get cheaper anywhere. So we're gonna set up the offer ads every month with new ones. We're gonna add new testimonial or review ads, and then we're gonna add new seasonal ads. And then keep in mind like the annual cycles that people are going to have as well. So if you're in somebody said the lawn care business, right? Like before winter, every time, right? Like you got to go do the service so that all the water's out of the lines and the water doesn't freeze and the sprinklers. But think about those annual cycles that your customers have. Right? If it's springtime and spring is a big deal, right? Then run every spring run some type of offer to the existing pixeled audience as well. So just to recap, these are the 6 steps. And then if you want to get really, really fancy, you can do some more ninja stuff to build out converter customer campaigns. So once you know which people actually called, right, which people actually filled out a form, now you can retarget them with a whole new branding and a whole new set of offers and ads and everything like it's day 0 again. So to do this, we do existing customer offers, we do cross-sells and upsells, we do reminders to consume, and then value-added content as well from the actual business owner. And so these are the 7 campaigns. And again, we want to stay omnipresent. We want to be omni-channel. Number 3, we want to make sure that we're rotating our ads frequently. And then we want to make sure that we're really thinking about what we want to tell the story of in terms of the brand. What do we want people to think about? What are the emotions that we want people to have?
Thanks for tuning in and showing me the nuggets. If you've been enjoying the podcast and find our content helpful, please visit our Apple Podcast page, hit the subscribe button, and leave us a review. Joe and the whole team have been working hard to bring more value to the show. Your feedback will go a long way in helping us make the show better and reach a wider audience.